I spent 2 nights solo at the Guelph Lake Conservation Area. No better time than now to reflect on some of our upgrades with this collection of stories that make our travels an adventure. Welcome to our escapades. Ursula is the navigator, my name is Dieter, and I'm the wheelman. Let's start with the sleeping platform. All the parts are in the Jeep and I'm solo on this trip. So that means we are not gonna set up the whole sleeping platform, but only the part behind the passenger seat. This is a modified version for the Jeep JK and based on the JL version from Cheaper TV YouTube channel. All the links are in the description. And basically this is the full length of the sleeping platform. This was back in November of 2020 when we went for our first overnight trip near Cobalt. The rear fender was plastered with mud. We had to clean the outside before we attempted to set up the platform and climb in. We were better prepared for our 1-week trip in July of 21. The weather was good and we brought a step stool to climb in. But more important, Ursula had the Jeep all by herself. I was sleeping in the tent. To put that into perspective, the Jeep interior is smaller than a queen-size mattress. We had to store our stuff somewhere and added 4 boxes onto the roof rack. There is not enough space inside the Jeep for all the gear, clothes, shoes and food. These 4 boxes actually work out very well and are now part on every trip. Here we are at the McLeod Provincial Park. We watched the ducks while eating our dinner. Earlier that day we saw a bear with a cub. But possibly the most unexpected encounter was the bald eagle swimming in the lake. Yes, they do swim on shore when the fish is too heavy to lift out of the water. These little guys are everywhere and know exactly where they get food. We were also surprised by American white pelicans. We learned that about 10% of the population migrate to Ontario. We made a 1-week round trip up on Highway 11 from North Bay to Esther Lakes Provincial Park, west on Highway 11 to McLeod Provincial Park, back via Hearst and south on Highway 631 to Nogacomissis Provincial Park. There is plenty of Crown land to explore. Same 2-bedroom setup as the days before, the Jeep and the tent at the Lake Superior Provincial Park. Roughing it for 1 week is okay as long as the weather plays along. Was it worth it? Well, you'll be the judge. Even though I have the tent here, I am thinking that one of the nights I will actually sleep in here. Now, in order to do that, we have to put some panels on the windows. Mats, like the insulation mats, which are from the dollar store, if I remember correctly. I cut them to size, stick them in here. I have a smaller one. That's pretty much it for this side. I have the same setup for the front window. Yeah, at one point I thought I have to put some suction cup or something on there. They do hold quite nicely. The moose doesn't seem to mind the mosquitoes and flies. We do. In the Jeep we need some air circulation and protection from the flying insects. And we actually have 2 solutions. One is the window sock. This works great when we want to keep the mosquitoes out. We had mosquito net left and Ursula fitted them to the doors. The installation is very quick and we can still operate the windows. They are not as transparent as we hoped and they stick to the glass when it's wet. The other solution is the window louver. It starts with a sidewall grill from the hardware store and a frame that fits into the OpenCheap window. This is based on the cheaper TV do-it-yourself window vents for summer and winter camping. So let's have a look how this one goes in. The window has to be halfway down. Then we can slide it. So I recommend to really put it in as close to the size as you can. Then once it's in, you just push it up and now we can get the window up. When the window comes up, it sort of overlaps and the rain can run off. There is one more issue when you put in a sleeping platform in the Jeep. Let's assume you're in the Jeep, you lock all the doors. Now if you have to get up in the night, during the night or early in the morning and you open the door, the alarm will go off. So one way to work around that is disconnect the cable from the door, like when you remove the doors, but at least the alarm doesn't go off. Even so, all the doors or the whole Jeep is still alarmed, since it's not sensitive to That is the sound of a Volkswagen Cabriolet. Quite nice. Anyway, oh, and the smell is pure gasoline. Anyway, if you disconnect the cable, you don't have to worry about the alarm going off. Actually, my intention was to talk about the campfire heat reflector. I was not ready to buy one of these expensive deflectors and built my own with 4 aluminum panels. We had a strong wind all day and the panels worked amazingly well to keep the fire under control. I was sitting beside the fire and didn't get the benefit of the heat that should be reflected. Once it got darker, the panels reflected the light and I noticed that the campsite was lit by the dancing flames. Now my do-it-yourself version is a simple construction. 4 panels connected with quick links. I use an HDPE or puckboard sleeve to store it. The edges can do damage to other gear. Until now, we used the panels very successfully as windscreens for the Jetboil stove. Talking about stove and cooking, Dino from Cheaper TV received a tailgate table for the Jeep JK from RTTCZ for review. We volunteered our Jeep JK. Thank you, Dino. Thank you, RTTCZ. The links are in the description below. We knew about RTTCZ and their custom fitted products for the Jeep models. We bought the wheel well storage bins before and they fit perfectly. Same goes with the tailgate table. We added an aluminum heat shield and splatter guard. Yeah, sometimes when you have just a big pan and you want to use the small cooker, so it's a little bit tricky. Either the whole thing flips over or this one here. In order to stabilize that, I actually built a little contraption which you can sort of put in here. Now it's pretty sturdy, and with the magnet here, now it's solid on here. So if I put a heavy pan on it, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it does have a little bit stand, so at least when I work with it, it doesn't flip over while it is still running. Okay. So I got my rice. Gonna kickstart this one here. And we need a drop of water in here. Okay, again it seems to be very sturdy, so whatever I shake here, it's not gonna go anywhere down there. A closer look again at the disc and magnet. The disc size fits snug into the recessed bottom of the gas canister. It should be okay now. Yeah, the milk gives it sort of the creamy flavor. If I don't have real milk, I'm actually using milk powder, which also gives it a nice taste. Without good lights, it would be difficult to make a good hot chocolate. I added a light inside the rear upper door frame. This works for cooking and managing the load in the cargo area. We also have a set of lights on both sides of the roof rack. With both the inside and outside lights on, the area is nicely illuminated. The lights are controlled from the overhead switch panel. These are the upgrades that make our travels more enjoyable. A more detailed documentation is on our website at stdi.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you out there.